The line, "are true, full stop," set the tone, and the host quickly brought in former prosecutor Katie Turkowski. After a brief welcome, the discussion turned to the plan of sending Abrigo Garcia to a small African country. Katie explained that Garcia had become a very poor example in the immigration crisis, and the administration was now showing the exact situation he had placed himself in. Though offered a plea deal based on criminal allegations, he remained deportable, since some countries refused him entry due to persecution concerns. The administration chose another African nation where deportation could be enforced. She emphasized that Garcia had long been deemed deportable, giving the executive clear authority in this case. The conversation then shifted to the arrest of 2 teenagers for the murder of a congressional intern on Capitol Hill during the summer. The host highlighted its importance to the grieving family and questioned the message it sent to Washington, D.C. Katie responded by connecting it to the larger immigration debate, which had been central to Trump's election. She stated that the crisis had been laid out clearly for the American people, showing both the severity of the problem and the drastic measures needed to solve it. She described such tragedies as heartbreaking and unnecessary, pointing out that many individuals should never have been in the country to begin with. For her, the legal battles were not just justified, but essential for the nation's future. Attention then turned to Washington, D.C.'s Attorney General, who filed a lawsuit against the National Guard deployment. The claim was that the deployment undermined public safety, damaged the city's economy, and infringed on D.C.'s right to self-governance under the Home Rule Act. Katie dismissed this as a weak argument, stressing that D.C. was not sovereign in the way states were. She noted that the president remained the commander-in-chief of the Guard and argued that crime in D.C. had been out of control for decades. Reports of lower crime, she said, did not reflect reality, especially when enforcement and reporting were lacking. For her, resistance to federal law enforcement only highlighted local law enforcement's failures, making the lawsuit vulnerable to appeal, even if it succeeded. The discussion moved next to immigration courts, with the Pentagon authorizing up to 600 military lawyers to serve as temporary judges. The host asked if this could help with the surge in cases, and Katie responded confidently. Drawing on her experience as a former JAG, she insisted military lawyers were highly capable, competitive, and fully qualified to handle such roles. She clarified that immigration judges were not equivalent to federal judges, but part of the executive branch, making any competent attorney eligible. She explained that the severe backlog of over 3 million cases demanded urgent solutions, and using military lawyers was a practical step forward. Criticism was then introduced, with opponents arguing that these temporary judges lacked immigration and administrative law experience, making them unfit to decide on life and death deportation cases. Katie countered that such criticism was generalized and not tied to specific individuals. She reiterated that these attorneys were experienced professionals, subject to multiple levels of review, and capable of handling the responsibility. Their backlog, she warned, could not continue unchecked. For her, the Trump administration's strategy addressed a genuine crisis. Military lawyers, she concluded, were accustomed to shifting roles and could easily take on these assignments without disrupting broader responsibilities.